And naturally, I'm a Tottenham man, obviously. I can reflect back to being a player with and manager of some of the finest players that have ever been in the game.
The place is fantastic, the tradition of this club.
To be the manager of 3 cup-winning teams here, I'm so lucky, it's untrue.
Hotspur America podcast, airing every week during the English Premier League season.
What a glory, glory night at White Hart Lane. This great and historic football club. Joyful night down the Tottenham High Road.
Hotspur America, the original US-based podcast dedicated solely to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
Gascoigne going to have a crack? He is, you know. Oh, I say! Schoolboy's own stuff.
I hate Arsenal, just hate them.
Oh, what a goal! Unbelievable! Oh, this is incredible.
We're the Yids in America.
Dempsey's there to tap in. What a fantastic run. He scored! And it's turned home. Eric Dyer.
This is your Hotspur America. Hotspur America podcast, episode 33 of season 1. Ken here, introducing the guys around the room. Sam, how you doing, bud?
I'm well, a little tired, little worn out from travel, but doing all right.
How was the Masters? You like it?
Oh, amazing. I'll trickle in some of the stories of my trip, but it was an absolute once in a lifetime experience. I doubt that I'll ever get the opportunity to do that again, but I will never ever forget it. And to watch Dallas's own take home the Masters and put on the Green Jackets.
She's one of our own.
She's one of our
own. Jordan Spieth.
He's one of our own.
Yeah, great kid. Jesuit High School here in Dallas, a neighborhood boy, and a good kid. Good kid. And I think my sense is that he and Rory will be battling it out for many years to come.
Yeah, it'll probably be like a Sampras Nadal type of thing, maybe from the tennis world.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Those young prodigies that come up and just sweep the whole sport. And as you heard there on the...
Dude, at my Tottenham while I was gone.
It's all Simon's fault.
Yeah.
As you guys heard there on the throat pipes, Simon's here with us too. How you doing, bud?
I'm most excellent.
Good. That's it. That's the show for today.
Thank you for tuning in.
Listen, guys, it's been a rough month. I mean, we look back on this. Oh, it's been a rough week. Burnley was terrible too. International break, we've come back. We haven't done anything, and prior to the break, we weren't doing much better.
Leicester was dodgy. United was pony.
Yeah, it was just.
Yeah, I mean, we've been dreadful pretty much since the Arsenal match.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's been what has that been? That was February, early February, second week of February, right?
You know, and you look at what.
Oh, your fault, because you went over there. You came back.
Yeah, thought we were going to win the league when we got back.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
we're on the up and up.
And look what's happened to Arsenal since then.
So I suppose
let's not look at that.
Well, we're not. We know what happens. I mean, it's just it's Tottenham. It's Tottenham. We're going to talk about the Villa match. We have to, and a lot of people have different perspective, and there's a lot of grumblings and rumblings out and rumors out there. People trying to get things started, speculation and whatnot. And we're going to touch on a lot of that during the show. But I've got to admit, if both of you could look back into that match, where as much as you watched or wanted to watch, I know in the pub, Simon and I, we were all three of us talking earlier. We were on our phones halfway through the second half. It was just deplorable to watch, and we just couldn't do it anymore. And you're so upset and frustrated, you're just kind of, I'll look up if I hear a decent reaction starting to happen from the guys. I know at one point we were just passing the ball back and forth to each other behind our own halfway, in our own third, basically. And I think I yelled out, "Don't go across the halfway line. That would be rude," or something to that effect. It was sickening on how terrible the attacking prowess of the team was. And we had talked a little bit earlier. This club, I'm telling you, the final third quality in terms of getting the right passing combinations in is abysmal. It's terrible. I'm going to pick on one guy right off the bat, and I talked to Simon about this earlier. The one that sticks out for me is Chadley. Beautiful dummy move that he makes off the left wing in the second half. Absolutely scorches the right back going up the left side. Has one touch, has two touches, and instead of passing on that second touch, which he should have done right to the top of the D, there was, I think it may have been Eriksson, wide open at the top. He took another touch to the line, got pressured by the center back, and lost the ball out of bounds. That sums up our form to a T. And then the one guy that we've kind of been clamoring about and wondering what the hell happened to him was Fazio, who finally gets a chance to play, doesn't lose the ball in the air, and we lose on a ball that he didn't win in the air. To
Hardly even jumped. Hardly even got off his feet.
Exactly.
Benteke, if you froze the moment when Benteke was heading that, he was about a foot over Fazio. How's that possible?
Yeah, right.
It was unreal. And for me, not the Chadley, but that, obviously it was the goal, but that defined that match for me.
And fellas, that's supposed to be his strength.
If he has one, that's it. Because he doesn't have two.
I thought another strength of his was maybe he could chip in with some goals from corners, but clearly he can't do that either.
Oh, he had, what, 2 clear headers in that match, and both of them just skied over the bar. Not even close.
Yeah. It was,
so if you guys have to go back and think about one thing that really stuck out, or just a moment, or just an overall summary from yourselves about this past week, what do you got, Sammy?
Oh, that's a great question. Much of what we have grumbled about in our bad performances this year, we moved the ball around relatively decently with some clever touches in the middle of the pitch, and we get to that final third, and guys just seem to brain fart all over the place. There just seems to be sort of a lack of natural progression into the goal. Guys do really silly things. So to answer your question directly, Kenny, the biggest takeaway for me was stuff like watching Andros Townsend, a guy, again, that has incredible athletic talent, can move people off the ball, and when he has his chance to do something with, just completely shits the bed. Shoots with his right foot when he has a chance to shoot with his strong foot, passes when he shoots. A dreadful moment where we really should have had a goal, where he made a brilliant move to I think he actually turned the young kid, Kieran Clark, and then he lays the ball off to an offside Chadley when he's left-footed. I mean, and if you really think about that, if you really sort of dissect that play, what could he accomplished by putting the ball to Chadley when he was moving towards goal? Kane was granted in the middle, but as I sort of lamented about last week, it's not exactly a high-percentage play when you've just got one lone guy in the box. It's just brainless stuff, and I can't blame a manager for that. It's players.
Yeah. Simon,
that's what that's for me.
Simon, what about you?
Well, we were both there, and as you mentioned, it was so dire. I had to go check my work email, and that's the last thing I want to do when I'm watching the football. I didn't even fancy a pint. That's how bad it was. I looked at the statistics in the game, and it's telling the same story we've seen this season quite a bit. 58% possession. We had 14 shots, only 3 were on target, and Villa only had 3 on target. We had more corners. We had less fouls. They had a player sent off. Physically, are we strong enough? Mentally, are we strong enough? And I think the answer, maybe the physically piece is, yeah, probably, but mentally, I don't know if we've got it. I don't think we've got that mental strength to dig ourselves out. And, Ken and I spoke about this before we went on air, about this is Poch's second slump. He had that first one back in the fall, and then we went on that run over the festive period, and we had some purple patches after that. Certainly, as we've mentioned many a time, Chelsea, Arsenal, great performances. And we've been pretty much indifferent since the North London derby. We've had some wins, but they've been far from impressive. Leicester, Swansea, QPR. I mean, the Swansea game. We can go back to that Swansea game. Came from a goal behind. We were 1-0 up. They equalised. We go 3-1 up. And the minute it was 3-2, we had the shits. We honestly thought we were going to draw or lose that game. And QPR had a very familiar theme to it. So I'm really concerned that the consistency and the quality of the play has just gone down the absolute Swanee. And these last 2 matches, I don't know if we just don't like playing teams in claret and blue, but it's been pretty dreadful from an entertainment standpoint. Mm-hmm. And there just doesn't seem to be that will to win. There's no killer instinct in front of the goal. I don't think Guzan really was troubled. The 3 shots we had were pretty soft and tame and didn't challenge him as a goalkeeper.
Well, look, the one thing that we can absolutely speak to is the clear lack of leadership on the pitch. There is nobody in that 11 at any point in time that looked like they could really provide a sense of leadership to what was going on. That was clear to me.
Yeah.
It was just that was the one consistent thing, was just we were pretty awful all throughout the match in many areas. Poor decisions, just really, Vlad doing dangerous things in the back. And I know he does that a lot. Somebody, we had a. You think if Skip was in that lineup, he'd stand for that nonsense? Of course not. And there's lots of that. It's frustrating to watch, and it's a shame. There's some good players with talent doing silly things.
Yeah,
there's just some bad players. In my mind.
When you think about, as we have mentioned throughout the season, I don't want to beleaguer the point of the captaincy, but we've gone from one end of the pitch to the other, and we both know that that's not the ideal person to wear the captain's armband. I'm totally made up for Harry wearing the armband, but I don't think that's something we need to burden him with. He's granted not looked like the Harry we've seen so far this season, but I don't think that's the weight of the armband. I just think that's just a terrible service for the last 2 weeks that he's had. But again, let him focus on scoring goals rather than trying to be a leader out there, which I'm not sure if he's necessarily done that as well. But again, who are the alternatives? Who do you give the armband to if it's someone in the midfield? We've said Bentaleb, but
I want to ask you
earlier, Bentaleb and Mason have gone off the ball considerably, as half the bloody team has.
I want to ask you both a question then, because here's my question for that. Pochettino's first season. We can talk about it 100 different ways to Sunday, but it's his first season. As a captain gets appointed, does that player need to understand how the entire system, from defenders to holding mids to attacking mids to a striker, where they all need to be given the certain situations that are being done on the pitch? Does that person need to understand fully all those positions and understand where people need to be? When I read books and I hear about Ledley King and Steve Perryman and all these great captains, Michael Dawson, that we've had, it seems that they could control. They were an extension of the manager in that they could control what was going on the pitch, telling people what they were doing wrong. And I don't think we have that yet. If that's even what the captain is supposed to be doing, I can't think that it's just someone that wears an armband that has a presence in the locker room. I don't buy that.
If I may interject, and for those of us who've read Bill Nicholson and Danny Blanchflower's relationship, that's what Danny did. He was the extension of Bill, and granted, at times he didn't always do a great job of that, but then Bill kind of realized that's the guy that can make things happen out there. And I think those days are dead and buried. The modern day captain, I think it's more of a figurehead. So as much as we talk about the leadership that is required, I think there needs to be multiple leaders out there. The captain is really the person the referee calls over when he has to have a chat with both captains to say, hey, cut it out, or else there's going to be a flurry of cards. And I think the players know what the game plan is, and they need to carry it forward. But I'm not sure the captain anymore in the modern game has the same clout as maybe the Mackays and the Blanchflowers and the Perrymans of days gone past. You can have someone barking, but any leader is able to bark at the other players to pull their socks up and focus and get on with the game. And you typically see that with a lot of players out there. I mean, Rooney is a great example of that at United. Company does it at City. And they're all in the different positions. So I know I'm probably contradicting myself here by saying, well, Lloris is at the back and Harry's at the front. But at the end of the day, does it really matter who's wearing the armband? Who's being a leader? Everyone should be a leader. They should be accountable for their actions. They should be holding others accountable. We've seen that at various points of this season. I remember Dyer giving someone a right bollocking during the North London derby when Welbeck almost scored on that shot that Lloris palmed round the post. So everyone needs to step up with that kind of responsibility and accountability for the rest of the team. So I'm not sure if it falls on anyone. and it's a moot point. We keep talking about it. We keep changing our opinion.